for absence. Are there any apologies?
We've had apologies from Councillor Claire Douglas and notification that Councillor Jenny Kent is to act as substitute.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Item 2, meetings of minutes held on the 18th of July 2025. Are members content that the minutes are correct record? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Item 3 is the declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest anyone wants to raise? No, happy. You. Okay. Item 4 is public participation. We do have 2 questions today. First one is Mr. Roger Tuckett. You have 3 minutes to bring your question forward, but don't worry, I won't rush you on 3 minutes. We've got time. So thank you very much. If you'd like to go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm Roger Tuckett. I'm speaking.
I'm sorry about that. I'm talking about societal integration of autistic people. I've been autistic for nearly 4 years. Before that, for 20 years, I was bipolar. I took the pills, did the therapy, but nothing worked. But I did put on a very great deal of weight and now have reduced life expectancy as a direct consequence. There is awareness but limited understanding of who autistic people are, how they think, communicate and interact, and the challenges they face in a neurotypical world. Societal change is needed to avoid existing social exclusion, disadvantage and prejudice. This is a moral imperative. Action is required to bring about such changes. Autistic people are entitled to full inclusion throughout society, deserving equal care and love. The figures are stark. Life expectancy is between 6 and 11 years lower than the rest of the population. 79% of autistic adults will experience poor mental health, significantly higher than other marginalised groups. Up to 30% have planned or attempted suicide during their lifetimes. 42% of autistic children experience anxiety compared to 3% of non-autistic children. Educational outcomes for autistic children are persistently worse than pupils in most other groups. And just 3 in 10 autistic adults are in work, compared to 5 in 10 of all disabled people and 8 in 10 for non-disabled people. Less than 4 years ago, in my mid-60s, I was diagnosed as autistic. It had previously caused catastrophic problems in my life. I lost my career, my family, friendships, my home, and almost all financial security. I am now alienated from my 3 adult children. I have felt massively excluded, losing my self-respect and at times the will to live. Now I have at last gained a new identity and a passion to change outcomes for others. North Yorkshire and the City of York both now have new autism strategies. The first adopted in March, the latter in about 10 days' time. I've helped influence both. Both have established groups with extensive lived experience involvement to monitor their action plans and press for specific meaningful change. I would like this combined authority to be proactively involved in this process. Specifically, I respectfully ask David Staith, our elected mayor, if you will first watch the 2-minute video on neuro-inclusion made by Andy Burnham in March. Secondly, attend the Be Neuro-Inclusive Fringe event at the Labour Party conference in a few days' time, trialling the launch of a neuro-inclusive code of practice for the Greater Manchester Good Employment Charter. And finally, encourage other elected mayors to attend a mayoral summit on neuro-inclusion during 2026.
Thank you very much for raising that and for your personal experience that you've shared with us on there. I will make promise that I will watch that and I will do my best to get to the meeting at Labour conference this coming days, and I will be speaking to Andy Burnham as well about the work he's done. I will also just bring in Andrew Lehman from my team as well, because obviously you raised this question the other day, so we've been able to have some time to how we can support this process for the work we're doing. So I'll just bring in Andrew Lehman, who'll be looking at that as well.
Yeah, thank you for your statement, Roger. What I wanted to say was that the skills team within the combined authority recognises the specific difficulties autistic adults are facing in entering and remaining in the workplace, and their different challenges to those with learning disabilities and or mental health problems, and the steps that are needed to support them specifically. And this involves in particularly working with businesses on things like good business charters. The Combined Authority is the accountable body for the Economic Inactivity Trailblazer project. The focus of a Trailblazer is improving the support available to people who are economically inactive and to help them return to work. It should be noted that the Trailblazer delivery plan has been approved for the previous year, but the year 2 priorities are currently under discussion, and this would certainly include support for autistic adults. The constituent authorities, as you've already said, are developing and progressing their own strategies, and the Combined Authority already plays an active role in engaging with these as they do. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Angus. Thank you very much, Roger.
I'm very grateful. Am I allowed a supplementary question?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're making good progress on awareness and understanding and the need for co-design and co-production. Following the meeting 2 days ago, I spoke to Tracy Watts and we've set up a series of meetings to move that one forward. But I see the third obstacle to achieving complete integration is system leadership right across North Yorkshire and York. But this is currently split between local authorities, the Mental Health Trust, the Integrated Care Board, the third sector community groups, and that's before you get into criminal justice and so on. And now, of course, we also have a combined authority. This leads to fragmentation and anyway. But will the Mayor reflect on the need for an autism ADHD senior system leadership summit of some kind? In North Yorkshire and York, in order to integrate support strategies and stimulate cooperative working. I'm not looking for a commitment immediately to do it, but will you reflect upon it, please?
Absolutely, I will do. Yeah, we will, and we will take everything you've said away today. I say with the Trailblazer funding that we've got as well, we have a real opportunity to really explore how we can incorporate much more of that working and how we can support people right across York and North Yorkshire as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a second question as well from Peter Graham. Elizabeth, was that in writing?
Yeah.
Would you, if you'd have to? Yeah, thank you.
A question from Peter Graham, Whitby resident, entitled Question to Mayor Scaife requesting support. Watching the NYC meeting yesterday, I was very disappointed to hear you say that you first heard of the Whitby Cliff Lift issue only a few days earlier. Not your fault. No doubt NYC haven't been in touch to ask for financial support. The information I got is that FOI suggests SBC chose to ignore the inspection of 2016 and no doubt prior and let any issues get worse. The meeting felt that a figure of £3 million included in the NYC figure of over £5 million to bring the lift back into service is a guess. Thankfully, County Council Swanwick arranged for Anglo-American to inspect the lift, and their report suggests condensation due to the ventilation being capped is what's causing the problem. Why would the ventilation be capped is a question that needs answering. For the last 3 years, a very expensive, unadvertised and not very punctual minibus service has been in operation instead of the lift. The new signage for this season asks for preference to disabled users, but a standard minibus is not wheelchair friendly. A Scarborough taxi company is being used. Why not with Whitby Disabled Action Group with their adapted mini coaches? Thankfully, and for a change, the area committee are in favour of supporting an issue in Whitby, but on the 21st of October, no doubt, the rest will steamroll what they want through without consideration or consultation. SBC are responsible for this and many other issues past and present in both Whitby and Scarborough. Now they aren't here as an authority, it's up to NYC with some of the same councillors and yourself to pick up the pieces and start repaying the residents of both towns for what they continue to lose. Both towns provide the authorities with plenty of revenue, but always get treated as second-class citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Peter, for your questions. As I said in the area committee that I attended the other day, it was the first time it had come on my radar. We will respond in full to your question. I did raise, we also have the plan for every town, which is 1.2 million, which is to deliver projects in a pipeline of opportunities in every town across York and North Yorkshire, and including those coastal areas. But fundamentally, this is a matter for North Yorkshire Council at this time. So we can follow on and see where we can work with on that as well. Thank you very much. Item 5 is Mayor's update. So first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for everyone who's been involved in the Langdale fire. Obviously, the firefighters, farmers, landowners, and gamekeepers, and the wider community. Obviously, it's been quite an unprecedented situation for quite a few weeks, but the community spirit and the way people have come together has been fantastic to see, and the work, particularly of the fire and rescue service, in that matter, and obviously led by the work at the local resilience forum as well through North Yorkshire, has been incredibly well received on that work. Strategic Place Partnership we signed with Homes England. It's a collaboration, with Homes England, North Yorkshire Council, and York Council, and the York and North Yorkshire Housing Partnership. Real great opportunity to accelerate the unlocking of new homes and really focus on that social and affordable housing element, which we know is a real challenge we face in York and North Yorkshire. We've also recently received the £7.3 million in brownfield housing funding, which is estimated to support just over 200 new homes in the region as well. We've also received the second round, which we'll touch on in a minute, of the Trailblazer money. That's £10 million. That will go to support at least 2,000 people, back across York and North Yorkshire. So again, a great opportunity for us to support people. We also had the first LVET meeting, the Local Visitor Economy Partnership meeting, which was a great opportunity to really promote tourism, and again, once again, bring York and North Yorkshire closely together to how we can improve the tourism offering and sector in our region, which is a fundamental part of our local economy. We also had the White Rose Agreement, real focus on the Yorkshire Plan for Rail, and we renewed the call for this investment to connect up the whole of Yorkshire. We do understand that people in York and North Yorkshire like to leave York and North Yorkshire times and go to other parts of Yorkshire. It's not for me, but anyway. We had the Export Roadshow highlighting the great exporting programme, which is tripling the amount of funding into that. We had 200,000 last time in that, and that produced about £15 million or so of export revenue for businesses. So with that being tripled, we're hoping to see potential up to about £60 million worth of exports there for businesses. So that's a great opportunity right across, again, the region. I attended the open of the Schneider new facility over in Scarborough, a circa £50 million investment into Scarborough. Fantastic to see a company like that, of that scale, of that reputation, investing and showing their support into Scarborough, which was brilliant to be at that as well. We also welcomed the Transport Secretary to mark the completion of the Trans-Pennine route, electrification even, between Leeds and Church Fenton. And with my fellow mayors, we pressed Yorkshire Water about the undisclosed payments of £1.3 million there as well. And finally, and probably the most important thing, I was able to beat Andy Burnham and the entire of Lancashire in a game of cricket. So we could once again mark that Yorkshire is the home of cricket. I'm sure you'll be happy with that, Mr. Richard Fenton. I won't say what my bowling figures were, but they weren't pretty. Item number 6 is trade and investment events. This is a report put together by Andy Kerr, but be delivered by David Ryden. I just want to congratulate David Ryden as well on his appointment as Head of Business Growth and Innovation as well. So thank you, David.
Yeah, members, this paper recommends that the combined authority approves a 3-year budget of £1 million to establish and deliver a strategic events and delegations programme. The programme is designed to raise York and North Yorkshire's profile on national and international stages, attract inward investment and support the delivery of the local growth plan. It will move the region from reactive engagement to a proactive, planned approach, maximising the impact of mayoral and partner activity. Members are also asked to note the requirement for the programme team to secure private sponsorships, in-kind contributions and partnerships to stretch public funds and ensure sustainable delivery over time.
Thank you very much, David. I think one point you raised there, which I think is dead right, it's been proactive rather than reactive, and I think we probably find ourselves being a bit in that situation. Now we want to showcase that York and North Yorkshire really is open for business, and the work that's been done in this and over the past 15, 16 months or so alongside both authorities stands in really good stead. And now we have an opportunity to really go be proactive with York and North Yorkshire and what we have to offer. And obviously our region is already on the map. This allows us to really showcase the great opportunities that we have in our region and really be, on that front foot and be proactive with what we're looking to do. Any questions or comments from members for David on this? Would you like to come in there?
Me? Yeah. I just want to speak positively about this and about the words that you've used really to sort of introduce it, Mayor, because I think for too long as a region, call it a region now, do we? We've been passive rather than active. We have a great story to tell, and I think, this will be necessary to raise our profile, and I think it could be positive. And I just urge you, Mr. Mayor, as well, to be front and centre on this, because I think you could add to that as well. It's not just about trade shows, it's about the noise that comes with it. And I think we've undersold ourselves for far too long. Just one little comment, you wouldn't expect me to speak without mentioning money. It is a sum of money, but I think it'd be a worthwhile investment if it's done properly. But I'd like to see perhaps through the scrutiny process at some point, at the appropriate time, a quick report. I don't mean a whole industry being created about, you don't need another member of staff, Mr. Mayor, to do it, but some sort of report that'll detail what we've spent, if indeed we have spent up to £1 million on this, and the outcomes that we seem to have gotten. I know it's hard, it's not exactly tangible, touchable outcomes, but I think it can give us an indication and some assurance that it's working. But all in all, I want to speak very positively, as I have done, about it.
I think you're dead right. We obviously have to track where we're spending money and making sure it is really good value for money. But as you've said there, I think we have undersold ourselves. I think we are quite clearly leading the way in certain sectors and elements across in terms of innovation, rail innovation, food farming innovation, and so many others. But we've never shouted about it enough. And if we compare ourselves to other CAs and the work they do in this field of really putting themselves front and centre, not just on a national but an international map, have we ever done that on the scale? Probably not. So we have an opportunity now. But I take on everything you're absolutely saying. I think having a almost like a progress report through it to make sure that what we're doing is, as you said, it's very hard sometimes to have those tangible benefits from what's come from it, but I think it's certainly worth having that following through all the way through. I don't know if you wanted to expand on that. Would that come in there as well?
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Welcome the report. Agree with everything you said and everything that Councillor Dad has said today. As people that have run businesses, we know that you can't just sit back and wait for your customers to come through your door. You have to go out there and get them, and sometimes you have to go out there and fight for them. And we are operating in a global marketplace. York and North Yorkshire is teeming with opportunity. We just need to make sure that we go out there and get the investment that brings those opportunities to life. So if you like, this is very much part of the doing. We've got the growth strategies, we've got the plans in place. This is how we get out there and do it and how we deliver on it. And let's remember the reason that we're doing it is because York and North Yorkshire is an expensive place to live. And what we need to do is make sure that we bring those good, well-paid jobs to the region so people can have full lives and take advantage of all the opportunities that growth can bring. Just it does seem like a lot of money compared to other combined authorities. It's not, and we are in competition with other parts of the UK for investment. We can maximise the bang for the buck because both local authorities already have people who are working in these areas, who've got teams who are dedicated towards inward investments, etc. So by working with the teams in the local authorities, co-designing those programmes, we can make sure we really get a good return on this investment. So welcome the proposals.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kilbane. Okay, if no, oh yes, would you like to come in there, Councillor Les?
Thank you, Matt. I don't want to repeat anything that Gareth or Pete said because I fully agree with everything. I just want to focus on the point that David made about bringing in private sector partners. I think that's very welcome, and I look forward to that because that's not just about sharing the financial load. It's about bringing in their weight of their experience and their reputation as well. So I look forward to us working with some private sector partners on exhibitions and the like.
Okay, if there's no more questions and comments, happy to go for a proposer. Second, and go to move to a vote. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for that, David. Item 7 is the City Leap programme update. Again, a report by the Director of Economy, Andy Kerr, but Andrew Lehman will speak on this. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. So this report primarily outlines the latest progress on what has been a programme running for the last year, the Local Energy Accelerator programme, known as the City Leap programme. Just a little bit of background. This is we were one of 3 areas in terms of DESNZ awards for this programme. It's basically around how areas can attract commercial investment and accelerate the delivery of net zero, and in particular energy delivery. In the report, it sets out the progress to date in terms of the different strands of the programme, and in the main, the progress on those has been particularly good and on track. There are still things to complete. This report really sets out recommendations that are to complete this work, which will lead us towards an outline business case and a full business case, both of which will get presented to this combined authority at a later meeting as they're developed. But this report basically seeks to complete the work on that side, but also to accept some additional money that has been provided by DESNZ to support further work on developing investable propositions within it. So any questions on that? Thank you very much, David.
Thank you, Andrew. And I think it just needs to be said again, this is a really exciting and huge opportunity for, as I say, we're one of 3 areas that have been able to scope and work on this piece. So, and it's bringing that local authority and community-owned schemes together again, and, you know, an opportunity to really, you know, show those savings in bills for long term and to really just do things slightly differently. I think that's something in York and North Yorkshire we have the opportunity to do with the combined authority. It's just to explore new ways of doing things. Any questions or comments for, yes, you'd like to come in there, Jenny Kent, Councillor Kent?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to welcome this report and thank the team for their hard work on this, because I know Katie Thomas in particular has been, and her team have done a lot already, and I wanted that thanks extended to her. Already over 18,000 buildings across the public estates of York and North Yorkshire have been identified that could benefit from this, to give them cleaner energy, lower cost energy, and help us take steps towards being an energy independent region, which I think is really important. And so it's going to address all the barriers that we currently have, or some of the barriers we currently have in capacity, lack of funding and disjointed funding, and crucially lack of private sector investment. And also a large part of the Bristol City Leap provided integrated community energy support so that local communities benefited from the advantages we can bring. I really welcome this, and I'm looking forward to the outline business case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kent. Any more questions or comments? Okay. Can we have a proposer and a seconder? And all those in favour? Yeah, all that. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Item 8 is the Combined Authority Housing Update. Again, a report by Andy Kerr, and Andrew Lehman will introduce the report once again. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. So this report, again, is a bit of an update report. But in the way, it's quite important, I think, to follow up what we presented back in March at the Combined Authority in terms of where we're moving towards in terms of that housing agenda. In particular, it sets out the work of a strategic place partnership and the objectives within that context and where we've got to. And as you mentioned earlier, Mayor, the place partnership had its first meeting and has signed on the dotted line for that memorandum of understanding with Homes England, which is a critically important part of that. Secondly, the report provides a bit of an update on the Brownfield Housing Fund. In table 1 in the report, it sets out the progress made. Some of these schemes are incredibly tricky to get through and develop, but I think there's been significant progress in that fund, and in particular the numbers of new homes that are coming out of the Brownfield Housing project. They also, I think we've estimated at least about 45% are affordable within that context, and we are now on 100% affordable as we give out further funding. We had a round 3 call for further projects more recently because we had the additional £7.3 million awarded by government. That call closed last week, and they are currently all going through the assessment and appraisal process. But I can't report for all sorts of reasons what the details of those are, but we've certainly got more projects in than we have got allocation, which is always a good sign because it helps us to bid for even further funding. And then finally, really on the report, it sets out the housing framework. So I think in terms of trying to certainly move forward with a strategic place partnership, but also working with the 2 local housing authorities, we've established a strategic framework which will be developed into much more of a detailed housing investment plan. Again, that housing investment plan will come to this Combined Authority in March, I think it will be, is our schedule. But the framework itself sets out those 4 key objectives that are set out in the paper. I'll just go through those briefly. It's around meeting the challenge of delivering the new numbers for housing, which is estimated to be 60,000 over the next 10 years. And in particularly within that context, ensuring that a good proportion are affordable. I'm not going to define affordable. I think we had a long discussion over in scrutiny about the definitions of affordable this week, but we want all types, but particularly an emphasis on social rented homes. The second objective is about maximising public estate opportunities, which there are lots of across York and North Yorkshire, and I think that gives us an opportunity to really help to develop this housing agenda going forward. Also an objective around warm and efficient homes, and in particular that links to the final item on today's agenda around a retrofit strategy. But the importance for not just affordable, but we start to move towards good high quality homes, and certainly that started off with the housing standard that the Mayor signed with the York and North Yorkshire Housing Partnership a few months ago. And then finally, and one of the biggest challenges I think in all of this is we need to be looking at skills, resources and capacities right across the sector, from construction skills to the housing association's ability to build at that rate for affordables, and certainly capacity and enablers within all our authorities to make this happen. So they're the 4 objectives within the framework, and they'll be developed much further as we move forward. So the recommendations are really to note the progress really on that, to note the progress on the Brownfield Housing Fund, agree that draft framework in terms of the housing objectives, and then finally there is a point around award, a recent award that we're potentially receiving on rough sleeping prevention and recovery. That is currently embargoed, so I can't release any of the amounts on that, but that is really to support at a fairly high strategic level. There's lots of discussions that have already happened between ourselves, the two local authorities, homelessness teams, around how we can best utilise whatever that fund is as it comes in. But we're just seeking the delegated authority to be able to accept that once it's been announced formally. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. And I think obviously, this sets the plan out of us working collectively, and obviously really meeting the need that we have in the region for much more affordable and social homes as well. And obviously having the strategic place partnership with Homes England is really going to help us to achieve on that. And just on the brownfield fund, and again, we quite often think of the really big projects, but I was in Raskelf quite recently where they built 3 new homes in a village of that size, and even those 3, 4, 5 homes in villages of that scale can really have huge impact on those communities, of people being able to stay in those communities, be able to still live there and grow up there and use the school there for that. So it's we know how challenging housing is in our region, but it's absolutely imperative that we get built and we meet the needs of the people. I was also at York College graduation last night in the Minster and seeing so many young people with their qualifications in construction, in these skills. Is a great opportunity to be, qualifying and going on that journey with those new skills and opportunities, because, in our region, you're going to have a job for a very long time if you want to work in construction. So seeing so many young people walking through York Minster last night and receiving their awards, it almost made you want to be 18, 19 again. But, there we are. Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to add anything to Andrew's very comprehensive summary of the report, but just to say, as the portfolio holder for housing, I certainly welcome this update today. I think it's a positive report, and we may be a young combined authority compared to others, but I think it shows that we are making good progress on this very key issue for us.
Agree with that, councillors. Okay. Councillor Kilbane.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, totally agree with what Councillor Les says there. And I think the point that you make about us being a young combined authority, we sometimes forget, because it feels as though we've been doing this forever, but actually, the Mayor's, you're only in place for over a year, and the combined authority itself has only been up and running for a couple of years. And while necessarily at the start of combined authority, a lot of time is spent on policy and strategy and plans, I think this is an area that we can point to where we are already delivering. Those houses that have been unlocked by the combined authority, those brownfield houses, especially the affordable houses, they wouldn't have happened without this combined authority unlocking them, and people are now living in them. So it's a real benefit that you can see. And I think it's also a really good example as where the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. So by working as closely as we have with York and North Yorkshire local authorities, we have been able to deliver quickly on this. Clearly, the housing market doesn't work for many of our residents, and it does need intervention to try and provide the safe, secure, affordable housing that our residents need to carry on living in North Yorkshire. So greatly welcome the report. Also appreciate the work that's going on with the homelessness teams in both local authorities. I know there's quite a lot of work going on there, and yeah, it's good to see. So thank you.
Would you like to come in there, Andy?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the comments. And I think just to hammer home the points as well on that brownfield housing fund, we're talking this will deliver 1,150 homes. 50% of those will be affordable. There's 12.7 million in brownfield housing fund, but that's been supplemented by 4.6 million pound mayoral investment fund to get those homes delivered. We've got 17 sites across the whole region delivering homes there, and 7 of those sites are on site now. So that progress has been phenomenal. And obviously the further 7.3 million pound, which has now been awarded by government, will give us new opportunities to keep driving more homes and delivery.
Well said, Andy. Yes. Councillor Bad.
Yeah, thank you. And, I welcome the report, and there's lots of positive stuff in it. And I agree with Pete and Carl. We've made headway and we need homes, etc., etc. But I think we've got to be truthful about this as well. The new housing targets that have been dropped on North Yorkshire are going to be a stretch. I'm pleased to note that there's a recognition of a lack of skills, and that could be a barrier to us being able to allocate, and actually not so much allocate in terms of planning consent, but to deliver the building of those homes. What I'd like to see in future reports is, and let's not forget as well, sorry, I will make a slightly political point here. There are regions within the UK that have had reduced housing targets, but the greenfields of North Yorkshire have been identified as areas for growth. That may be a good or bad thing, who knows, but it's not going to be easy to deliver it. So future reports, perhaps we could just track how the government are delivering on their expectations over houses. What was it, 1.5 million over the lifetime of this parliament, and now what the expectation is within York and North Yorkshire, and now we're delivering. Because quite frankly, I think 4,500 or wherever it is houses in North Yorkshire is for the birds. I hope we can achieve it in many ways, but we've got to be realistic about it. We've sat for 5 minutes now, being really positive about this report, which we should be in many ways. Certainly the stuff that we've got our hands on leave us over, but I think we've also got to be honest with the public that it's going to be really difficult to deliver them sorts of numbers.
And difficult is why we do it. We've got people on a housing waiting list, and we have to be building their homes that people can afford to stay in our region. Time and time again, we speak to too many people in this region who cannot afford to stay or live or buy a safe, dry, warm home in this region. As long as we have that situation, I'll be pressing for building as many homes as we possibly can to meet the requirements that our people need. We do now have a voice at the top table in me and speaking to government about the challenge that we will face. I completely take it on board. Skills will be one of those, but that's why we have an opportunity to align our skills strategy to make sure we have got those construction jobs and skills coming in. Because the positive of building so many homes is not only providing a safe place for someone to live, you also provide a pipeline of work for the next 20, 30 years for the next generation of people coming through as well. So I take your points on board, but this is an absolute imperative. We have to be building more homes, affordable homes, social homes, right across York and North Yorkshire for our people to be able to stay and live in this region. Yes, please.
And, you know, I don't doubt that for one moment, but I think within the report as well, we perhaps could have celebrated our, certainly in North Yorkshire, I think York's instigated it as well, a second homes premium. That's going to help with the provision of affordable homes. We're doing what we can, but, you know, I've got to say, voice at the top table, we contested the types of numbers that were being dropped on North Yorkshire when the department first published them. They actually went up, not down after consultation, but yo-ho.
I do welcome the work on the second homes that you have done, and I have praised that in the past, Councillor Dad. Okay, any more questions or comments, or we can move to a proposer? Seconder? All those in favour? Item 9 is the skills and employment update. Again, report by the Director of Economy, Andy Kerr. I believe Andrew Lehman is also going to introduce this report. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, and a big link into the housing stuff, because a lot of this is to do with the skills side. The purpose of this report really, again, it updates stuff, but I think an important update at this stage. I think as well as what I'll do is I'll try to walk through a little bit of each of these programmes, not to take too much time because the report is a report. But I think it's important just to acknowledge the amount of skills programmes, employability programmes that have been coming through the combined authority. So I wanted to say an acknowledgement to the teams in the combined authority that have really worked on these, but also the local authorities that have been incredibly supportive and active in that context as well, because we wouldn't be getting anywhere near this if it wasn't for that. I'll just go through each one in order. So the Mayoral Investment Fund, we awarded, there was a £2.5 million skills innovation fund awarded through the Mayoral Investment Fund. That has now been out for commission, and 3 providers have received that. So there's a consortium of FE colleges, of supporting, in particularly one of the gaps around tutors. So one of the issues in a lot of our FE colleges is just getting the tutors to train people to get the skills. So I think this is really important in this context. Better Connect to continue to do their work in terms of some of the we'll call them inactives, but I don't like the term, but it's part of linked to that work as well, but certainly numeracy and literacy, and the University of York and York Creatives to look at, in particularly one of our real strengths around the creative sector. So that Skills Innovation Fund has been awarded to those. The Careers Hub, something that is been running through the local enterprise partnership prior to the combined authority, but still continues to operate through the Careers Enterprise Company, and our Careers Hub is incredibly successful in what it does, engaging in particularly all the schools across York and North Yorkshire in that careers provision. I'm not going to read all the numbers in terms of the figures and the finance out there in the report, but I think they have started to receive further funds as they develop to pilot things on a national basis because of the success. But one of the things that they really want to start to do now is to look at how they can develop that for all years, because careers for all years is as critical as careers for young people as well. The Connect to Work programme comes through the Get Britain Working. I never said Get Britain Working right. I always get the words mixed up, so apologies. But the Get Britain Working white paper programme, it's an employment programme. We're now, the combined authority is now the accountable body for that Connect to Work programme. We're just developing the programmes out. I think we've had this at a previous meeting in terms of getting the relevant approvals and sign off. But that's a £10.37 million 5-year budget for that work, delivering out employment support training. That's very much been done in conjunction with the two authorities that are currently delivering quite a lot of that work, and how we can expand on that part of it. The Economic Inactivity Trailblazer, so we got the year 1 10 million, that is out now and being delivered. We are starting to see, particularly through the programme with Better Connect, some real outcomes being provided. In particular, they're now up to 200. It says 123 individuals in the report at Better Connect have supported. It is now at 200. And all the contracting is, I think, about done, if not almost sorted. That's been an incredible effort to get to this stage in a very quick amount of time, but the success of that has meant that the government have awarded a further 10 million for a second year, and that year 2 delivery plan needs to, as I indicated, has to be completed by the 30th of September, so another quick turnaround. But again, that's been worked through, and we seek the approval to submit that delivery plan. And then we've got UK Shared Prosperity Fund. So there was the final year of UK Shared Prosperity Fund programme. And again, that's provided further money to support and match some of the Trailblazer money, particularly with the Rise to Thrive programme. It's supported the Multiply, which is basic maths programmes and step-up programmes within the area, and also a Leadership and Excellence Development programme, particularly for business owners around leadership and management training. And then there's quite a long section around the Adult Skills Fund pre-courses for jobs. So as part of the devolution deal, we got the devolved adult skills funding. This has now all gone through the commissioning process and the grant funding programme, and in 9.3 it lists the providers and the amounts that they're receiving for 25-26. Some of it's gone through further procurement, and there's some further providers in section 9.4 that sets out where that's going, and obviously there'll be ongoing performance monitoring of that funding as it runs through. And then we've got skills boot camps, which again is a programme that was previously done within the LEP, is continued to run through here, 2.94 million in wave 6. And as you can see in 10.2, a fairly large range of different programmes. In particularly, we've received further funding around construction skills, which has now been allocated to those programmes. And then I think it's finally, finally, we've got the Get York and North Yorkshire working plan. So this comes through the Get Britain working plan. So each area has to produce one. This is just sort of setting a little bit of an outline for that plan, which has to be submitted in October, but we will be bringing back a report in the October CA for sign off as the formal plan. So we'll be able to have a chance to discuss that further at the next CA meeting. That was fairly long. Thank you for your patience, but any questions?
I think that is a testament, Andrew, and to the team about the huge amount of work that's gone on, particularly in skills and under very tight time scales. It has to be said. And I think touching on Pete's points earlier on about the success of our brownfield housing, I think the skills is one of those other areas. Well, the amount of money that we've received and got out the door in a very quick time scale has been a testament to the success of working together, the collective approach, but also having a combined authority, and obviously the focus there on the construction skills and having the funding in for construction skills, as we've highlighted already. But also something that I think we raised quite early on, Andrew, was that supporting tutors. I don't think there's a shortage of people wanting to come forward for courses on in certain areas, but it's actually the challenge of having the tutors to go and be the next generation of people to teach those next generation. So actually a focus on that for us has been key to making sure we have enough workforce coming through. So a huge thank you to yourself, the team, and in both authorities as well, who put so much work into that piece. Any questions or comments for Andrew, Councillor Kilbane?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the report, Andrew, and huge congratulations to the team that have been very successful at working to ridiculously tight deadlines. So the delivery plan report, it's got to be in by next Tuesday. I mean, they're the kind of deadlines that we're working to. So I think, we need to make representations to the departments for work and pensions that they need to work with us for the delivery of these programmes. It's almost as though they're testing us to see if we can deliver. And if you can deliver, oh, well done, here's another 10 million. Well, that's not a very mature way of running these programmes. So we definitely need to see more devolution of these funds and working with combined authorities to make sure we deliver the skills that we need desperately in the region. And they've also got to stop using the word inactives. I know we've raised this before, but it's a terrible word. It's a pejorative word, but it also belies an attitude that anybody that's not employed full-time in the economy is somehow not doing anything. Whereas most people I know part-time or even people who are not in paid employment are some of the busiest people that I come across, whether that's volunteering or holding their families together or working in their local community. So, but it belies an attitude that we've got to try and encourage people into the work that we need. So I was at a round table earlier this week with the hospitality sector, and there is a terrible shortage of chefs for cafes, restaurants and hotels. Now, if you're an half-decent chef, you can earn £50,000 a year doing what is actually quite a rewarding and creative job. It's hard work for sure, but they're actually quite good jobs. But we can't get the chefs that we need in spite of the market for them being quite vibrant. So I talked to the college and they said, yeah, we've got plenty of capacity to train more chefs, but we just can't get the people to enrol. Now, that is going to take quite a lot of partnership work with employers and employers' organisations and training providers. But the key thing is selling the jobs to the people that could be doing them, persuading them that actually this is quite a good career prospect for you. And thinking about people who are not in the kind of work that you want them to be in as inactives really kind of belies an attitude that is not going to help with that. So we really need to get out there and sell it to people. The jobs are there. I was also, sorry, I will shut up in a minute, but I was also on a construction site in York, and kids have been dragged there from the college to have a look at the site, and they were all on construction skills type courses, all about 17, all kicking their heels, kind of going, what the hell are we doing here, and who's that bloke and why is he here, pointing at me. And there was a lad there who was a brickie, and I just said to him, so how much do you earn a year? And he said, oh, about 52, 53. I said, 1,000? He said, yeah. I said, how many days a week do you work? He said, 4. And suddenly all those kids were interested. You know, that's what we need to be doing. You know, we need to be saying to people there are good jobs here that can earn you decent money and you can have a good life in the region.
Just on those challenges around the timescales, Councillor Cobain, just to be sure we have made those representations very, very firmly with government, particularly on the reviewing of how successful the work has been done. You know, we need to know what is working well so then we can amplify that. And obviously this needs to be devolution and not fitting the criteria of Whitehall and their administrative processes. Just on a chef, I was a chef for 3 years, probably one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had, actually. Certainly hard working, but it gives you skills for life. It meant that when I went to university, I could cook anything. So here we are, and now I'm the mayor. So who knew? We're trying to go in there, Councillor Dodd.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem it's a national problem that started some years ago with this, and I would regard it as a prevailing snootiness around pushing kids into academic qualifications at university. And I'm sure you've heard all this before from many folk, but there seems to have been a class structure, if you like, over the professions, whereas people like me that were just mere butchers were sort of, looked down upon. I ain't got a degree. I mean, I've the equivalent of a degree and all the rest of it. But so I think we, as a combined authority, as individuals, as the body politics, have got to show a bit of support for the more vocational qualifications. We absolutely must. I have more respect, quite frankly, from the guy that comes to do our plumbing than, my overpaid accountant, if I'm being truthful, because he's doing things that, as a plumber that are just beyond. I mean, I haven't the patience for it anyway, but that's besides the point. So I think we've got to show a bit of leadership and remind youngsters that it's not just about sat there at university and getting a piece of paper. I mean, they've been downgraded anyway, haven't they? I'll probably get strung for saying this, but a degree's not where it was 30 years ago. Let's be honest. It isn't. I had a youth work for me on a Saturday. I know I'm rattling on. I mean, he was going off, and I think he ended up with a 2-1 dear. Oh dear. I mean, it was only in a Saturday. It was enough. So we've got to show that bit of leadership. There's one thing that I would like to see. Again, it's sort of in line with what I said over the previous report. Something caught my eye, HGV driving. It's only because I've got a friend that's looking to take up that particular vocation. It just seems a lot of money per learner, if you like. I presume we've procured properly and it's the going rate and et cetera, et cetera. We won't take it today. I wouldn't expect a response today. But I think it'd be helpful as well, perhaps again through the scrutiny process, for us to see how many learners we've turned into HGV drivers. Our target is 45. If we're only going to get 30, it is expensive, for example. So perhaps we could bear that in mind with future scrutiny reports, because we need to see value for money as well.
And those numbers will come out in the wash after said, and that's why I said on one of the challenges we face, we've not had the opportunity always to review the piece of work that's been delivered before the next funding comes through from government, and that's one of our asks is to give us that time frame. We can review how successful this is before we just go pour more money into it. So I just wanted to raise one point. So I don't think we probably touched on it enough in that about this is not just about young people as well, it's about adults and upskilling and reskilling people throughout their career as well. We think some of our opportunities now in terms of industries, how much they are accelerating, we're making sure that we're supporting people right through their career path as well, right the way through. So yeah, thanks very much for the report there, guys. Proposer for the And and a seconder. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Andrew. Item 10, the consideration of York and North Yorkshire's retrofit strategy consultation draft. Again, a report by Director of Economy Andy Kerber. Andrew Lehman, I believe you're leading on this as well. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. Seems like the Andrew Lehman show today. Also, as a graduate of York College Building, I'm just wondering whether I took the right career path now. But back onto the report. Retrofit. I think again, this as a strategy person, it's really good to present this report because it just links to so many things that we're trying to do across the board: the net zero agenda, the housing agenda. It also starts to identify that to do this, we need some skills improvements as well. So I think this is what this report tries to do in terms of this strategy. It's also a strategy that's been worked on very closely through lots of engagement, consultation, working with not only the local authorities, but lots of stakeholders out there in terms of bringing this together. So just a few things from it. If you go to the paragraph 5.3, the diagram of a strategic framework, and I think one of the important things here that's been built up through that consultation is the importance that retrofit isn't just simply a climate aim. It's also around comfort and warmth within the home. It's also around cost in terms of reducing energy and the cost prices. So I think it's really good that what's come out of those engagement to get to this strategy is something that is broader than just simply a net zero strategy. It's much more than that. I think again the strategy starts to set out some of those priorities around things like how do we increase demand at the same time as deal with some issues around the supply chain and skills. How we continue to understand these issues through data research, how we start to look at alternative finance innovation provision for this, because that's one of the issues around people taking up these offers. This is a consultation draft. It's just really to get the approval of that version to go out for more formal consultation, of which that information will be brought together and the final strategy will be brought back to this combined authority. We haven't worked out exactly the timing of when it'll come back to here, but was probably in the new year after the consultation has completed. Any questions?
Thank you, Andrew. As you said, this is an ambitious plan to tackle the need to retrofit our region, but it is a very much a requirement. And again, once again, the jobs and opportunities that could be created off this is absolutely huge. And I personally think it looks to really balance the complex needs and various sectors that we have across York and North Yorkshire as well. So thank you. And this has been a very big undertaking and a lot of stakeholder engagement on this as well, as we always do. Any questions or comments? Councillor Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. This is part of the sort of general theme of this meeting. This feels to me like a really proactive and positive report, and the amount of work, I want to congratulate the team, and in particular Lucy Alice, because the amount of work and careful work that's gone into the consultation, even just to get to the public consultation stage, has been really good and noteworthy. And this is all about, as you say, yes, we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we need to do everything we can to make our planet livable. But this is about building houses which are not just affordable to buy, but affordable to live in, and making damp and mould a thing of the past, which still exists across our estate, across the region in to great an extent. So we know that people living in warm, comfortable homes that they can afford to heat properly are less likely to get sick. They're less likely to then not be able to work. They're less likely to be a demand on our health services. This has so many far-reaching outcomes that it's just call it a retrofit strategy. People might ignore that, but this is really fundamental to our health and well-being across the region. And it's difficult. I mean, I hear what Councillor Dadd says about building houses. Retrofitting houses, I think, is actually more difficult given the housing stock we've got. But just because it's difficult doesn't mean we don't have to do it. We absolutely do. And this is a brilliant first step. And I particularly welcome the recognition within the strategy that long-term or longer-term strategically focused funding is needed to do this. So the sort of short-term having to build up capacity within the combined authority or the individual local authorities to bid for a project to do something for 10 months just isn't tenable, and we don't have the time or the resources to do that. So and overtly recognising that we need long-term funding and strategies is really welcome. Thanks very much for this.
Thank you for those comments. It is difficult, but as I say, the fact we know there are people living in houses that are not fit for purpose, that are having a negative impact on their health, is quite frankly disgraceful. And it's not easy, but because things are not easy, that doesn't mean you don't do absolutely you can imperative. And it is about the new stock as well, and making sure the homes we're building are fit for the future as well. And we're not going through a strategy we're going to be retrofitting a house that's built today in 10 years' time, which seems completely ludicrous to me. Any more questions or comments? Okay. Move to a proposer. Okay. And a seconder. All in favour? Thank you. Thank you, Andrew, and all the team work on that. Item 11 is forward plan, really just noted really, but Paul Clark, I can just bring you in on this.
Thank you, Mayor. Although it's easier, I'm quite happy for Andrew leaving to present this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the forward plan's submitted in the usual format, Mayor, but there are a couple of changes to it that are probably worth highlighting now. A new version has been published since the papers went to print. I'll just identify what they are. There was an item on for the October meeting around vibrant and sustainable high street funds. This has now been subsumed into a larger update on the mayoral investment challenge funds that will include the new men's mental health and the movement activity and sport fund. There will also be an additional report on the UK SPF, UK Shared Prosperity Fund, and the Rural England Prosperity Fund. And there is a new report on the White Rose Forest Strategic Plan for 25 to 50. Other than that, it's all as submitted, Chair, but happy to take any questions or observations.
Thank you, Paul. Is there any questions or comments? I'm happy just to have this noted as a report if people are okay with that. Unless people have any comments or questions they have as well. Happy? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Paul. And finally, last but not least, item 12, any urgent business? I personally don't have any. I've not had any come through. Any urgent business for anyone? Okay. Thank you, everyone. So the next scheduled meeting is Friday, the 24th of October at 3 p.m. in West offices in York. Thank you, everyone, today. Thank you for everyone's work, and see you then. Thank you very much.